Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns newsstands. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the tri-annual Enjoying Orange Slices playoff edition. One more game tonight. Boys, Daren, Jeff, have you guys gambled on this at all? Are you allowed to gamble because you're part of the media? Tell me what's going on. Have you been down to the riots? Hello, everybody.
Couple of things.
Hey, couple of things.
Do you write this before you start your introduction?
No, I'm not like you. I'm not a professional.
Because the
He's all
game's
bent
tomorrow
out of
night.
shape. You're all bent out of shape.
Chances are the way this comes out, it's going to be tonight. So just calm
It
down.
could be.
Calm down there, sister.
It could be the way it's done this time next year.
Yeah, by the way, this might be for Philadelphia, Vancouver next year in the playoffs.
If it's Philadelphia and Vancouver next year in the playoffs,
That'd be awesome.
we got a story.
That'd be awesome.
Would be
That'd
good.
Fantastic.
Rick Tocchet against his former team.
Yeah. Oh my God, the place would burn if Tocchet won too. Purses would be stolen from the mall.
I think Millard was a little choked when you said the media, like you threw me in with him in the media, because he's the upper echelon of the media. So I'm just
I
kind
have
of
no idea what he's trying to spin here.
yeah.
We don't
You
trust
didn't
you.
answer him right away because I don't think you liked me being grouped in with you on media. But thanks for joining us today, anyways, buddy. Like, let's do what we always do and plug your podcast first. Who'd you talk to today?
Pat Verbeek.
Oh wow, I like.
Yeah. A little bit of a different feel around the Anaheim Ducks.
In what way? We had his boss on last year.
They
The Teats.
feel like they have entered a new phase in the rebuild, or they're exiting the rebuild, and they're making acquisitions. The
Mhm.
Chris Kreider trade. I actually asked Pat this very question. Would you have made that trade a year ago? Or are you that far along in your program that you're ready to sort of bring in players that are going to add different and top elements? And he said, yeah, we probably wouldn't have made the trade a year ago, but we're ready to challenge for a playoff berth. Maybe we don't make it, but we gotta get another 15 points out of people. But we're certainly making progress.
How much do you, so you know they're doing all that development around that arena, right? Everything's being built
Yeah.
up. I think so
Sam
how
Willis,
much
right? They're doing a ton of
yeah
it.
how much is that needs to be? You have to have a good team by the time that's done.
I don't think anything.
You don't think anything? I was just
No.
wondering if you
I
can't
think that's
do this.
independent of the team. You're hoping to draw more people and more activity around there, but I don't think it necessarily. I don't believe anyway that it has anything to do with the success of the hockey club. Everything's going to be better if the hockey team's better.
Yeah, but don't you think though that, I mean, going back to Vegas coming in the league with Mr. Foley and just, firewalling it, going, we're here to win every year. You look at how Florida went President's Cup, traded winners, the President's Trophy winners, retooled their team. Like, I think these teams are looking now and going, we've got some good young draft guys, but if we spend some money, we can be a lot more competitive a lot sooner than maybe in the past. And I think in Anaheim with Joel Quenneville in there, and you got, you made the deal for Kreider. You picked up, I'm drawing a blank, the D from New York last year. Trouba. And I don't think you're making that deal unless you're not just trying to take another step. I think they're trying to get in and then see what happens. And
Pulled off the Cutter Gauthier deal for Jamie Drysdale. They were
Yeah, I
aggressive in
mean,
that.
I like, and the other thing is they still have some cards to play because Dostal, their goaltender, looks like he's the heir apparent to Gibson. So you have some capital there with Gibson to be able to, he'll probably have to agree to a trade out, but you might be able to keep on acquiring some guys. And all of a sudden, and here's the other thing: the Kings are good, just up the freeway. You don't want to be playing second fiddle forever. You want to get back in the race, and I like what Anaheim's doing. So it would be interesting to see. I think they're a wild card team or right on the cusp. Because the Central's so good, I don't know, but I like them to be right there till the end next year. There you go.
How much structure or how much change does Joel Quenneville influence? Now he has the advantage. Nothing against Cronin, but who is hard on his guys. He pushed hard, and he got that team to a new level. But it came at a cost. The players weren't exactly
They were
enjoying
revolted.
themselves. Let's
Right.
just say that. When Joel Quenneville goes in, he can say the exact same thing, but the message is received differently.
Well, a lot of those guys probably idolize Joe Quenneville to a certain degree because of his success. I mean, these guys would have grown up as kids watching him. Some of them would have played against his teams and understood how good a coach he was and how good the teams he was a part of were. So, I mean, and you're not just adding someone else into Anaheim, like just not that Cronin, I loved Cronin's story. I think it's a great story, but Joel Quenneville is Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Like this guy's an upper echelon coach in the history of the NHL. Name brand recognition. He comes in, obviously after Chicago, some things had to be worked out, but they've been worked out. And now he's back ready to go. I think it gives that organization a lot of credibility with a guy like that brings
Credibility
in.
is the word that kept coming up with Verbeek.
Yeah, there you go.
With
Yeah.
Quenneville?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I think so too. But also, we just seen a coach get fired in Dallas because there's a new generation of players. When we hung out with Quenneville, Jeff, we had a great time. But I'm curious to see. I don't know the younger hockey players' mindset.
Are
Like
you
I
talking
don't
about DeBoer or Quenneville?
know Quenneville that
Okay.
year when we were in, but you've just seen DeBoer fired, right?
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
didn't like the way somebody was treated, right?
Well, I think that Joel and Pete's unbelievable, and we're big fans of Pete.
We know he's going to land on his feet. We're
He's
not
going to
worried
land
about
on
him.
his feet. The only difference is Joel has been able to get over the hump, right, and get the cup. So with that, people, it's like they're willing to give up a little bit more capital.
But the player, we were
Well, the
talking.
player, I mean,
I'll just jump in.
Yeah.
Greg Cronin was authoritarian. He pushed his players. He was very firm with his players, and he got results. They had a 21-point improvement from last year to this,
And he still got fired.
latest season. And yes, and still was replaced. How much of that had to do with players in the exit meeting saying, we're done? And how much had to do with Joel Quenneville being available and the time being right to bring Joel Quenneville back to the National Hockey League?
And the location.
Probably 50-50, even though it shouldn't. Greg Cronin being firm with his guys shouldn't have had anything to do with it when you have a 21-point improvement. Like if they have a 21-point improvement this year, they're over 100 points. That's how drastic the improvement was last year.
How is his name not up for grabs for those other jobs that were all up, like Boston, Seattle, like now Dallas? Why is his name not floating in there though?
Yeah, good question. I think that there's probably an element of gruffness around Greg. He's not necessarily a guy that I would call savvy, like throwing his name out there and being uh, involved in pumping his own tires, and he's what you get is a little rough around the edges with Greg Cronin.
Well, but okay, so let's agree that
No.
okay, well, you can disagree. Mallard will love that if we start all disagreeing, but let's just agree that Greg is kind of a more of an old school I think the word was authoritarian, but a little bit more, he's gonna jump on you. He's gonna let you
Yeah.
know. Okay, and so we're going, wow, in the exit meetings, the guys didn't really like it. But let's be real. There's what are we at? 20 coaches in the last 12 to 18 months have been replaced in the league. So we're over a coach a month that has been moved on for some reason. Like like with Talk moved on from Vancouver. They would have loved to have kept him. But so we can look and say, well, the player exit meetings on Cronin, some of the guys maybe didn't really love it. But I can guarantee you there's some coaches that players loved that got moved on too. So it's kind of a murky area for me, like to say, well, in the exit meetings, and because I believe that maybe that did have some impact in Anaheim. Obviously, with Coach Cube being available, they were like, this is a guy, this guy's been at the top of the heap. But what about like Pete? Like, how much do you think the player exit meetings affected what happened with him?
Well, I think that there's an aspect of that, the way things finished. But Pete also knew. Like, remember, DeBoer has 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah.
You going into this season, what do? If you did out of the Stars, you're not going in letting him play out the last year of his contract. It's not the way things necessarily work with veteran coaches. There are exceptions, but not usually. So you're either going to extend Pete right now, or you're going to make a change. They've just been to the Final Four, the conference final, 3 years in a row. Some of the players didn't like the way things went down at the end, voicing their concerns. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
If they didn't go to the final or win the Stanley Cup, there was a good chance this was going to be the last year of Pete DeBoer in Dallas. And I don't think he would disagree with me on that sentiment, being the crossroads of 1 year left on his deal. And do you extend him and then you're into it for another 3-4 years, or do you make the change and add some fresh viewpoints there? What do you think? Do you think Dallas is going to the Final Four next year?
No.
They could, but the odds not very good.
No, but you know what? Let me ask you guys a question. Just getting back to you, we can get back to who's going to be where next year. Do you think, like Pete, like the pulling of Ottinger in game, was that 5 or 6?
Game 5.
Game 5, sorry, in Dallas. Was that the last lever? Like, was he sitting there going, I don't have any more levers to pull. I've done all I can do. I've switched my lines around, which he doesn't like to do. Contrast that with Coach Cassidy, no problem. He'll switch him around in a heartbeat if he doesn't like it. Pete's not that way. Pete wants to just let it work itself out. Do you think that the last lever, Pete sitting on the bench, watching this kind of unfold in front of him as Edmonton kind of just gets better and better? That's his last. He's like, I got one lever to pull left, and this is it.
I think Pete, knowing what he said after that game, Pete looked at that and said, we're down 2-0. They've had 2 shots. What are the chances after what we've seen the last 2 years that Jake Ottinger is going to be able to shut it down now?
Mm-hmm.
Very unlikely that was going to happen. So you make the change right then and there. And he was aware that contract talks hadn't taken place on extending him, that maybe if he doesn't find a way out of this, he's probably in the back of his mind thinking it could be done. So I'm gonna go out playing my hand the way I want to play it.
I'm also convinced that he wasn't sure that he was going to pull him. Everybody was like, "Oh, he just waited till just about to start and he pulled him." I don't think he was. I don't think he was.
No, he pulled him.
Until he
pulled
said
him.
it, but until he said it, I don't think he was pulling him.
He
Like-
was pulling him, and Jake. I don't think Jake heard him.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Jake
don't
wasn't
see-
supposed to go back in the net.
Get that cash off. Get it off the ice. Get it into the bench.
You don't see him being very animated very often, Pete. But
I've seen
very
coaches do that to
interesting.
me. Get off the ice.
Yeah, but that was in minor hockey.
That was in
But I've yelled
minors.
at you a few times too when we've been out skating with the kids. They're like, "Is that Aiden Hill?" I'm like, "No, it's Millard. Get off the ice, Millard." So I
That's
love
funny.
it.
Calm
Every
down
time a
there.
new kid comes
Calm
out,
down
"Hey,
there,
who that is,
Cronin."
don't you? Aiden Hill. It's my
That
favorite
Aiden
line.
Hill? Yes, yes.
Aiden Hill.
Boy,
And Millard loves it.
Aiden's really easing into the offseason, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Aiden's a giant too, but Millard looks pretty good on the ice. So
It's just like, I got to go work with the kids.
yeah, I better get back out with these 15-year-olds. Work on
I
my
love
water.
the 15-year-olds. All they want to do is one-timers and
Mhm.
Michigans. That's all they want to do. And none of them can hit the net on a one-timer. Even if
And
they
none of
slow
them
it down,
Yeah, and they can't
They
pick
can't
the
hit the
puck
net.
up on a Michigan either.
they
So
can't pick the puck up on a Michigan.
we have two
My
rules,
God,
right?
I might be a 15-year-old.
Yeah, yeah. But you're down at the other end with no pucks. That's your problem.
Yeah, just trying to get my
He's
time
working
in
on
and
scooping the pucks.
scooping the
Yeah.
pucks.
Have you ever done a Michigan bag?
Not well. Yeah, no, yeah, just yeah. It's never.
'Cause I hear Flint's really nice this time of year.
He love the water. My Michigan goes like this, curl around, and then just throw it at the blue line.
And then end up in the
new way they're doing
corner.
it now.
Into the
they used to-
stands.
They used to tow it and then scoop it.
Yeah.
Now they just slide the stick underneath the puck and come up the
It's
backhand.
stupid.
It's not as obvious the way they're doing it now, and but I think it's harder the way they do it to be able to like jam that stick underneath.
Well,
I
but you got to
I
give
en-
these guys.
I enjoy the commercial with the yellow Cooper helmet and guy try
Oh.
Michigan. Just raw.
He just comes over. That's the
Hammers
best
them.
commercial. Hey, who's that? He's on the boards with there in that commercial. Who's the player? The guy. He's in a sweat.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it's an ex-player he's on there with when he chops.
really
him.
funny.
Like, but here's
What's
the
that
biggest.
commercial for? Because I've only seen it on like YouTube.
No, it was on TNT the other night. I don't even know what it's for. That guy's mesmerizing. How could you know what they're advertising after watching him?
Yeah, I have no idea. But also, doesn't he say at the beginning that he smokes too much? Like the fact that they let that get in there, I was just like, whoa, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The difference is with the Michigans that the kids are trying to do is versus the pros is the pros have put hours upon hours upon hours in of trying to handle the puck and do things the right way and maybe incorporate that in as something, a misdirection. But when I watch the kids do it, I'm like, it's still not going to work. It's not
The
going to
kids
work.
have put half an hours upon half an hours into it.
Yeah, they watch YouTube. They're like,
Yeah.
okay.
The defensemen are back there. This is my favorite one. There's a couple of D-men that are out skating with Jeff, and they're working on their Michigan. Like, you gonna do it on your own goalie? Like when are you down below the net with time?
That's
Oh my God. Yeah.
do the
Time
Michigan.
behind your own net. I'm going to give this a go.
Be prepared is what they're saying.
But
You
that
never know.
D-man, he's working on it just in case.
Yeah.
You never know.
And
Oh my
then
God.
you get to the National Hockey League and you ask the really good players, you ever try Michigan? No. Not
Yeah.
a chance. Like they're not
What's
doing
the
it.
point? Yeah. That's why they're in the league, because they're working on the stuff that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's funny too about the Michigan is never stand beside the net like when you're not in a drill, because what's going to happen if you're not in a drill and guys are going to get water, they're going to shoot. If they see a puck, they're going to shoot it, and they're going to shoot it high at the
Every
net,
time.
and you're going to take it right up.
Yeah.
And I tell guys, I go, when you're not getting a drink of water, push those pucks to the corner, and never, ever skate behind the net or be near the net when we're not doing a drill. So we kind of, no, they're in there trying to flip it in the net. I'm like, you're going to take one. You're going to take one. I guess, that
I
we
love
all
when you get
learned that
fired up
way,
with
though.
him.
So
When he
Why
gets
would you-
fired up,
when he
it's
gets
awesome.
fired up, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love my fired up Sharples.
Yeah,
I haven't talked to Sharples in a
the
long time.
Michigan's a good one, but it's like, what do they keep showing, right? They keep showing the Michigan, so the kids are going to keep doing it. So
Right.
I don't think Trevor Zegras is going to use the Michigan move under Joel Quenneville.
I don't think so either. Do you think he's going to be there?
I think there's going to be a reset there.
There's going to be a reset, or
if
he's
you're
gone.
trading Trevor Zegras right now, and it could happen. I'm not saying it won't, but you'll be selling low on that guy.
yeah.
How about
So why
Zegras?
not give him a chance with Joel to see if it clicks?
Zegras for Pedersen.
Not a chance.
Wow. Well, who would get the better of that deal?
I think Vancouver would. I don't think he's as big as Powder as Pedersen.
That
Well,
would
you're
be
gonna
a
get-
really interesting trade to evaluate.
A lot of money going. Anaheim would have to soak up a lot of money. But if you look at Zegras, this kid was absolutely dominating coming out of like the World Juniors and coming into the NHL. And maybe this is the greatest thing that happened to him as a reset under Quenneville. It's like, I've had Jonathan Taves. Let me help you, right?
Yeah,
like,
well, and Q was following up on some real foundational work that Cronin did with Zegras. Cronin pushed Zegras.
yeah. So we'll see.
He's got to get better.
You think Taves goes to Anaheim?
Wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world. Now, does he want to play just for the sake of playing? Does he think that they can actually make the playoffs? They are better, but or does he think that maybe he can sign somewhere else and be more competitive and a playoff team?
How about this one? How about Florida?
How about Winnipeg?
I don't know.
Well-
Florida with it depends on what happens, but center ice isn't a need right now for Florida.
Well, but hang on. Let's just say that we don't know what's going to happen here. Florida looks really good, but let's just say they keep Bennett. And so you got Bennett, Barkov, Lundell, and then no six, your fourth. So, but now you want to try and keep Marchand around and Ekblad, and so they're like, well, maybe two out of three. So the only way that you get to keep three out of those three is if you move someone else, which you would not want to move a guy like Lundell, right? Because he's
not
so
going
good.
anywhere.
But if you ended up moving him, how about if Nosek moves on and Taves comes in and plays for $1 million for him? I mean, what's
Jonathan
his
Taves
value?
a fourth line center? I think Jonathan Taves is be above being a fourth line center.
I'm not. I'm just saying, to get back, he hasn't played in the league in 2 years.
Got to get back, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
like,
got to
I
get
mean-
back.
Hey, and the fourth line, but really, if you look at some of these teams, yeah, okay, Nosek, Greer, and Gadjevich are their fourth line, right? But there's people that move up and down the fourth line. I'll give you an example in Vegas. Howden will go from the first line to the fourth line, and everywhere in between. So let's just get you back going. Yeah, you want to put him with some guys. You'd love to put him with a guy like Marchand to help get him started. Someone that can get the puck for him, give it back to him. But if you are coming back as Taves, you're coming back to. I don't think you're coming back just to play another year in the league. You want to try and, finish off
But
strong.
is everybody knocking with him? Is everybody knocking on his door to see what's up?
He's got a list. He's got a small list. Yes, I think the conversations have been widespread around the league. Not everybody is interested, but our 24 teams, I would put that as very possible. Like you brought up Anaheim, I'll add Vancouver to that list. Winnipeg has interest in him, and that would be cool for him. depending on what happens with Toronto and their changeover. Could he add value there as a third or fourth line center and leadership with the Toronto Maple Leafs? The New York Islanders, could they use somebody of Jonathan Taves' ilk? There's quite a few teams that I think that he could certainly help out right now.
So you don't see him signing on July 1st. You see him waiting to see what goes on around, like maybe a week later, 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be middle of July. I think it's sooner than that.
Yeah, but you don't. You know, what's like if you get a take it or leave it offer, if you're him, then on July 1st, go, hey, we can give you X amount of dollars, take it or leave it. It would have to be a pretty attractive. Like, what about Tampa? Like, all these teams are going to be interested in this guy.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying he's a fourth line player anymore. Right now,
I
we
think
don't
more
know.
teams are interested in him than he's interested in.
100%.
If
And
that makes sense.
yeah.
Damn hot girls at the dance.
Yeah.
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 That's what it is.
Well, and he's earned it. And so, I wonder if in the back of his mind is probably a bit of a stretch, but I wonder, like they named, every team named their first 6 players to their country for the Olympics today. I just wonder if Taves, who's,
Keys.
hang on a second,
Hi,
I gotta
Michelle.
look for keys.
Hi, Michelle. I've got your keys.
Keys are over there on the, we're looking for keys.
Why is
I think
Michelle
they're on
not
the
talking
counter.
to us? We're trying to talk to Michelle.
Yeah.
She came and asked for the keys.
We
got
had to
he's got headphones on.
that's her way of getting in to see you guys. Hey, where's the keys? They're in her hand. We know where they are. She just
Hey
wants to come
guys,
over.
found my keys.
Yeah. So I think Taves, with his history of Team Canada and the rest of it, I know it's not even on the
Bye.
board right now.
Bye.
But
No, I don't think.
Good job, good ears, guys. She's leaving. See ya.
I don't think
So,
that's any
that-
part of the conversation.
No, not for. But in his mind, do you think he's like, I have goals, but one of them would be to see if I could get myself back going, but also into the conversation. He doesn't have a lot of runway to do it, but this guy's won his cups. He's been on Team Canada. This guy's I don't know if he's quite a generational player, but he's pretty darn close. This guy's a special player. We don't know the way those guys think. Those guys, that's what cuts them above from everybody else. Like, do you think he's just thinking to start, hey, I just want to get back going, but there's got to be somewhere in there. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to get my name into the mix for the Olympics? Not that that'll happen, but
Take a hell of a start to do that.
yeah. So I think he goes. I think there's 8 teams he might go to, right?
Yeah.
10.
10.
Why did you go 10 over 8?
Just like to be different. No, I think there's 5 on each side. You got to
Okay.
go like 5 on each, like Vancouver, right? Vancouver,
Of
Winnipeg.
course, that's number one.
Vancouver,
on his list,
Winnipeg,
for sure.
Anaheim. I wouldn't put it by Seattle with him thinking going to Seattle,
No, they've got enough centers
but you can push somebody out
with money too that are making
Oh,
money.
they have a lot of money there.
No, like Seattle's already invested.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of money
significant
into
cash
centers.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anaheim's got 32 million in cap space too. Not that they're going to spend necessarily to the cap. They don't have to, but they still have to get to the floor.
They can do what they want.
So they could do a 2-year deal or a one-year deal with some money that's not going to influence or leave them strapped going forward, and you might.
I like.
What
like
about
what they're doing?
Yeah, L.A. Like, is there a fit there? They're pretty good at center right now.
I got a question about LA. Do you think they fire what's his face and put in DeBoer into LA? Or do you think
Not right now.
Do you think he's got a little bit of runway and then
That would had the conversation on the weekend that would be the one team that I would circle as a possibility for Pete there because you got a new manager in Los Angeles. You've got the controversy of the way things ended for the Los Angeles Kings and Jim Hiller
Same
last year.
way. Same ways. Same ways,
so
Pete.
It would make sense. Now, I know that DeBoer wants to take some time away. He's going to be on the Olympic team this year. He's going to be an assistant to John Cooper's team, the same staff.
He's still getting paid.
Continuing over. He's still getting paid. I think he's coached every year for like 20 years. And more than that, if you go back to junior, does he take some time away from the game? Maybe. But when he joined Vegas, he was out of work for a couple of weeks.
3 weeks.
And
look at talk.
When he went to Dallas, he was out of work for 8 days. Yeah. So he might be set for a little bit of a step back. And he's the kind of guy that could make the right decision. Now, if LA comes up, that's a pretty good team that is set up to make some chances, some charges. A little different if you're, I don't know,
Nashville.
That's like
which would still be a great place to coach.
Are you surprised that his assistants all survived?
Well, I don't know whether they have. I think it's up to. I think they're going to wait until the new coach is hired, and
that's when they'll make the decision.
And the new coach will have a say in who the assistants are. So I would keep an eye on that as far as who stays and who goes as part of the staff.
Hey, do you think Pete does any, like when Talk went to TNT, kind of reset? And do you think Pete's got any of that? Like Bonus does a great job. Do you think Pete might just want to, John Cooper's popped in there, even though John Cooper's always had a job, but do you think Pete maybe says, yeah, I'm just going to take it easy and let things kind of start off, because it's going to get hot in LA pretty quick, regardless, I think, of the kind of start they have, unless they run out and go 15-2 to start with.
Is the heat justified in LA? And I said the same thing. Like, if I'm projecting a place for DeBoer to land, it would be LA right now. But the more I think about it, are we being fair to Jim Hiller? He made a challenge that didn't go his way, but
not at all. We're not at all being
and then he played the heck out of his top players the next night, which was arguably as drastic or impactful in a negative way as the challenge. But if your players defend that power play on the bad challenge, then you get through it. It's a non-factor. Should 20 seconds define a coach's legacy?
Well, hang on a second. Okay.
It's just like Ottinger being pulled. Ottinger being pulled and DeSmith going in. If DeSmith makes a couple of saves, it's exactly what happened with Pickard going in game 4 of the final when he shut the door on Florida. Like, sometimes it's more to do with the athletes than just the pure coaching decision.
And we for years we looked at Edmonton and said, "Oh, they're too top heavy. They don't play the other guys enough." The question, the challenge is really easy for us to sit at home and go, "There's no way you should challenge that." Plus, the inner workings of this better than Lord Bagg and I do, not by much. Lord Bagg's right in there, but you know how much pressure's on that video guy. You know how much pressure's on the assistant coach relaying the information to the head coach. My issue with LA in that series was with Edmonton, Edmonton, Knobloch made a conscious decision of playing his depth more than they've ever played it in Edmonton before, and it's worked. They're now going into Game 6 tomorrow night in Florida.
Or tonight.
Or tonight, depending on where you are.
Last night, congratulations.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
And so when you look at you're dressing guys and playing them a minute 45 or 3 minutes, and things don't go your way, then you open up Pandora's box for scrutiny. Now, let's not forget here either that if Byfield, who has the puck on his stick in Game 4 in Edmonton, all he has to do is chip it out off the boards. Bouchard comes down, knocks it down. They end up scoring. If that goes out, I don't think we're talking about Jim Hiller at all. I agree. But the one thing that you had to look at, and the same thing I said about Edmonton for years, and I look at box scores for how much guys play every night just to see who's playing who and what kind of depth. LA played their guys more and more and more and more, and Edmonton was able to take advantage of that.
It was a flip series. It was a role reversal.
Yeah. So, but you know what? The challenge, everyone looks back at that, but Byfield, who's a fabulous player, had the puck on his stick between the top of the circles and the blue line on the left wing, hard off the glass, hard off the boards, whatever. Kempe was coming from the far side. Maybe Edmonton regroups that puck and scores anyways. But like, to me, that's where the series changed when Bouchard came in. And Bouchard's not backing up there, but he still was able to make the play and give the kid credit. So that's Hiller. Yeah, he's probably getting a little bit of extra sauce on this because, of stuff that he had no control over.
Well, it changed the way guys challenged. We saw it in subsequent games. Mm-hmm. Coaches were hesitant to challenge after seeing on 50-50 plays, after seeing what it did to influence the LA Edmonton series.
Yeah.
I talked to coaches who said, we're looking at it differently.
They sure are. Well, Hiller's the best at changing lines up, and changing players up and throwing it all into a blender and letting it go. He's the best at doing that play. He's like within seconds. This ain't working.
it does seem like it gets fast for him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I will say that between the game that was involved the challenge and the next game where he just went, we're playing our top guys every time. We'll go with 12 skaters tonight. It did feel like it got the moment got fast for him.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? People that don't play much know whether it's just human nature, whether it's right or wrong. They feel you have no faith in them. So with the longer they sit, and then you try and get something out of them, you're really flipping a coin at that point. And so when you're playing guys 2-3 minutes, and then you play them when it's 6-2 with 3 minutes left in the game, that's not helping your team.
Didn't you feel that? Didn't you feel that with Stetcher last game?
Yeah, well, and to me,
I felt like he didn't feel trusted.
I don't mind it now. Like at this stage, when you've got 2 days between games, I think you can lean on 4D and 3 lines. But when you're starting out the playoffs and you're going back and forth, you gotta. It's a long journey. You got to be able to find a way to get everybody involved in the first round.
Well, Knobloch's done a great job. I mean, since he's been in Edmonton, and it's easy to sit and go, oh well. But in Game 3 or Game 4 in Florida, Stetcher played 4 minutes. Okay, so and then they go into overtime. And those other guys are all up in the high 20s, low 30s. You get on an airplane the next day and fly from Fort Lauderdale to Edmonton, then play a 6 o'clock game in Edmonton. It doesn't matter if you play 6 or 7. Edmonton looked tired in Game 5. Their D was not sharp as they had been. And I just said, I agree with you situationally. If you want to drill down and go, hey, these are our guys we're going to win or we're going down with, I don't have a problem with that. But one of the reasons that Florida and even Edmonton to this point has got to where they were is because everybody ropes, everybody rides. And Florida's had a little bit more of that in this series than Edmonton has. And that's where the difference in the game is.
Do you rope and ride, Bagg? When was the last time you rode?
Back when I was single.
Yeah.
Rope and ride. I know Jeff
can
just
you
comes,
rope?
I can't rope. I can't even tie a knot. Like if I have to hook up a boat, it's floating away. If I have to catch
you don't need a The ropes come like ready to
don't.
go.
Oh, that's that's glamping right there. You got to tie your own rope there, Pansy.
I go to the Cowboy Christmas every year, and they sell those ropes. So we have
Oh
one.
my goodness.
My daughter has
Oh my
one.
goodness. What a bragger. I go to the
She
Cowboy
likes to.
Christmas
Well, I
every
like to
year.
do it because it's a daddy-daughter day. But
Okay,
my
now I can't
kid's,
make
like,
fun
too
of it.
cool for me now. But we bought a rope a couple of years ago, and it was awesome.
You
You
sound
know
like
what?
my you like sound it sounded like John that travels with me. Oh, my daughter doesn't like me anymore. It's been it's just
Oh,
like she's
it's
gone to
so
that age.
true.
It's just
So
like
true.
she
They
used to be my
don't
buddy.
like where did my little buddy go? I always say that. Where did my little buddy go?
That's funny.
I say that with
Dad, don't be
Sharpies
an
too.
idiot.
Where'd my buddy go?
Did you call him your little buddy? Did you ever call him that? Where'd my little buddy go?
Is that what you don't say that to John, do you?
My
Hey,
little
little
buddy?
buddy.
No, I don't call John a little buddy. I call him Worker B. That's what I call him. What he calls his daughter his
You
little
get
buddy.
back to work. Yeah.
Are you allowed to call, is that professional that you
What,
call him
little
little
buddy?
buddy?
I don't
Hey,
call him
little
little
buddy.
buddy. I don't call him little buddy.
I thought
Maybe
that's
we
what I
could get
heard.
t-shirts made.
That was
Little buddy.
Darren said he calls his daughter his little buddy. Where'd my little buddy go?
Maybe we could
I
get
didn't all of a sudden
t-shirts.
call John little buddy.
John,
I
my
love
little
it.
buddy.
Suddenly I'm the captain from the minnow.
Hey,
What's
do you
Skipper?
know
Where have you
where,
been?
do you know the island where the original scene in Gilligan's Island, where that island that they used in the footage was?
Was
You know
it
where that is?
Manitoba?
Very close. It's Nassau.
It was?
Bahamas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what I just found that out the other day. It's probably BS, but I'm going to throw it in there. So-
Why did you just find that out the other day? What brought that up in conversation?
Well, because some friends were in the Bahamas and took a picture and sent it to me.
Oh, you
Said
you
this
have
was the
high roller
island they
friends.
used for Gilligan's Island. And I said, they're bragging because they're down there in all those thunderstorms.
You can just lie. You can lie about that show any island. This is Gilligan Island. This is Gilligan Island here. Just any island looks
I
like
don't
it.
know. Hey, it's like
Who are the
MASH. You know
characters
where
in
MASH?
Gilligan's Island?
So
There was a skipper.
Skipper?
There was
Marianne,
Thurston Howell.
Thurston
Thurston
Howell,
Howell.
the professor.
his
Oh, that's
Thurston's
right.
wife.
No,
Marianne. Who was the other one? There was
the actress,
Who was the other girl?
the actress,
And then
Skipper.
Gilligan.
and then Gilligan.
We're missing one.
Swap.
One
Was there a
person.
doctor? Was there a doctor? It was a doctor.
Yeah, the
wasn't there?
professor. The professor.
Oh, okay.
We're missing one person.
Skipper Gilligan.
Marianne. Ginger?
Thurston Howell.
Ginger.
Thurston
Ginger.
Howell's wife, right? So there the
Marianne
rich
and Ginger, right?
And
Marianne and Ginger. There we are. So it was a cast of 7.
and they made a lot of money off that show.
Well,
Oh, man.
they had one set.
One
It was
set
pretty
and
good.
one set, 7 people. It's not like other people showed up on that show.
Yeah, right. There was no guest
Right.
stars.
Yeah, nothing.
This week, guest starring
Yeah.
Henry Winkler. There was none of that.
The
No, none of
Fonz.
that.
Come on, get it right. The Fonz.
Fonz.
Hey,
Hey,
what?
By the way, you mentioned the Fonz. I have work kids, my work children, Garrett and India.
your work
I brought up
children.
the Fonz. Well, they're my work kids. I'm their work dad. I brought up the Fonz the other day. India, she's 24. No idea who the Fonz was. No clue.
I guarantee you she doesn't even know who Seinfeld is. Like she's 24.
Like 24, no idea who the Fonz is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad.
Really? Wow.
I can believe that.
Maybe we're
'Cause
just dated.
No, but it isn't. It's not like even though I don't think it's on repeats anywhere, but it's not like that generation's watching TV. They're watching TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. They're not
Yeah.
watching. They're not watching rerun TV. So I'm not surprised.
Hey, the Fonz.
They're watching you, Lord Bagg. They're watching you.
They're watching me, my dumb.
Have you ever
Hey,
met
you
Henry
could do-
Winkler?
I haven't, but I was so on Thursday night. I was in DC and I played a synagogue. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I was just like, huh. I will send you guys a picture of me on stage. It looks like it's about to catch on fire while I'm there.
So is that
But
I didn't know they did performances in synagogues.
I
It makes
guess
sense
they
'cause
just-
churches use it all the time as
Still, the
venues.
fact, but Henry Winkler had been there a couple weeks before talking about his book, and I seen it. I seen his picture.
Really?
His picture was up on the wall, and the guy I was
I
working
hear
with.
amazing stories about that man.
Guy I work with said
as
he
a
was
great
amazing.
human being.
Yes, that's exactly what was said to me. He was so nice.
Were you in DC? Were you at the parade on Saturday?
Actually, what I said.
You were there for the
I-
parade, weren't you?
I said I'm here for the Fuhrer's birthday.
You were in
In a,
Philadelphia?
in a synagogue, I said that.
Oh
You
my
did
God.
not.
Yes.
You can't say that.
Oh my God.
You can't say that.
I
You
did
didn't
it.
say that in your act, did you?
I did it on stage. And then they got the lights
And what
up. I said,
happened? What was the
every time a
reaction?
light gets up, a strike happens. Well, it was. The reaction was huge. It was like people loved it. So it was fun.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, buddy. Things were happening in
He's
DC.
a comedian.
DC was an interesting city this week, and my comedy fit in just nicely.
You were in
Yeah.
Philly as well?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Philly.
Did
Yeah.
you run
Did
the
you?
museum steps?
I went to the No Kings parade, and it ended at the bottom of the steps. And I went to go up, and they said no. Big speeches
What? They
going on
did?
right there. Yeah, it was closed down for the speeches.
They stopped people on the steps from climbing?
Yeah,
the
they had it fenced off.
Wow. I saw
Yeah.
the Rocky statue is back on top of the steps.
Yeah, it's on top there. Yeah, they had two
For
cops.
years,
They had two cops. They had two cops protecting it. That's what.
but
made
it was
me
at the
laugh.
bottom the last time I was there.
He
and I
slowly
don't-
got up there. Adrian.
I wonder
you
why
give
it
her a
goes,
couple
it bounces
Adrians when you
back
were
and
there?
forth.
Yo.
Yo,
I love Philadelphia. I think
So do
it's
I.
it's a fun city, and people are always like, "Oh, be careful when you're in Philadelphia." But I think they're really nice people and fun.
Well, I
Jeff's
would
got the
not wear a
funniest
visiting
story.
team jersey to a game in Philadelphia. No
Oh,
chance.
The only game I went to in Philadelphia, two guys sitting in front of me, home and away jerseys with a white and a turtleneck. One was wearing a white turtleneck, one was wearing a black turtleneck underneath the jersey. I'm like, this is supposed to be the toughest arena I've ever been in. I was laughing.
I would not wear a visiting team jersey because you're gonna get something.
Uh,
hey, that's right. Philly's awesome though. I forgot about
Philly is
that.
awesome.
Boston, Philly, maybe the Islanders. Those are three places I'm not wearing visiting team jerseys.
How about the
Boston,
Rangers?
Boston, I went to a Sunday afternoon game. I've never seen an arena that drunk before in my life. It was amazing. And they were like throwing their kids to catch the free t-shirts. I was just like, oh my God, it's $15. Everybody calm down. I'll buy you all one. Don't throw your kids. That was nuts. And
Yeah,
that's
you
quite the
got
building.
shirts made right now, little buddy.
Little buddy.
Little buddy.
Jeff, tell your story about when you were in Philadelphia.
I'd forgotten about this until you brought it up. I was enjoying Philly so much until you brought that up. Okay, I gotta see if I can remember this because was I talking to you on the phone when that happened, or I called
You
right
weren't talking. You
after?
talked to me afterwards, right
Yeah.
afterwards.
So
Like,
I did a red eye into Philly, and we ended up landing in there. You get in really early, so you go to sleep for a couple hours, and you get up and enjoy your day. And I'm out just going down the sidewalk, and I caught the lip of the sidewalk. It was up a bit, and I started stumbling, bumbling, and I must have gone 20 feet before I couldn't save it. I was
Were you trying to hold it?
I tried to keep it upright, and I went face first, but I put my hands out like I was sliding into third base and or second base, and I was like, oh, okay, not too bad. I'm only marked up a bit. And this two elderly couples, they come up, they go, "Sir, are you okay?" I buckled right in front, and I'm like, and I had Pearl's Drop It T-shirt on. I was like out there with my my bag swag, and that was the start of my day. As I woke up from a red eye in Philly, I buckled straight, and these old people are trying to ask me, older people than me, asking me if I could
How
they
long
could
ago
help
was
me.
this?
Are you okay? How long ago was it?
Oh, 5 years.
No, it's more than that now.
So with those
Well,
people that
maybe.
asked you if you were okay, would you be the same age as them now?
No, they'd still be older than I am now.
Oh, so
It gets
now
better. It gets better because 2 weeks later he went home and he was trimming his trees and his ladder collapsed and he went down the side of a tree.
what?
Oh yeah, I almost went down twice there in 2 weeks. Hey, that's why I never get on a ladder. Never, like, if you can't reach it, don't get on a ladder. That's a young person's game. So
When you asked yesterday which one of us would end up in the volcano, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just like, all three of us. That's what
Yeah.
There was a posting that somebody had to be rescued in Hawaii because they got too close to the edge of the cliff at the erupting volcano, and they had to helicopter in. And the person and I just sent the text to you guys, say which one of the three of us would do this, and I was disappointed that it came back unanimous that it would be me. I thought Bagg would do that.
I would definitely. I was just like Jeff would do it because he would like stumble over it. I would mountain bike off the side because I didn't hit the brakes in time. And then you're you're the same way. You're just like, what's that?
Yeah.
Car boom
Boom.
into the ditch. Uh,
I knew where I thought I knew where Mallard was going. So when Lord Bagg came back and took you down, said it would be you. It was great. So it was just at that volcano 3 weeks ago, and luckily enough, and I'm telling you, that is one of the coolest things you'll ever see in if you ever get over to Kona. And just we had it on our TV the other day. It's like we don't need cable anymore. We're just watching YouTube. We're just watching the volcano.
It takes the place of the Fireplace Channel.
oh, that's funny. The
You
end of
just
the
let
world
the
channel.
volcano
Yeah,
erupt.
yeah, it's cool. So
How close
hey,
did you get?
how you know what? You can't get that
It wasn't
close.
you though that
Holds
fell
up a hot rock.
Yeah, it's like right here.
big gloves.
Your hands are all bandaged after. One of the cool things about that is there's all kinds of steam coming from all over the place that you can get right near some of the vents, and they've got it all cordoned off. But I don't know. You got to be, I'm guessing, at least half a mile to maybe a mile away. But you can walk down into the old crater, and it's really cool. So
That's gonna be your new nickname, Old Grader.
Old crater.
Yeah, the old crater.
Whatever,
Old crater and Little
Hey,
John.
if we can monetize it, you can call me whatever you want.
I
But
love it.
we're not doing very good on the other nicknames. So, okay, before we go, because my timer went off 15 minutes ago. Anybody want to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs going on right now, or do you want to wait till next year?
Does it end
I don't
Last
think it
night?
ends tonight.
tonight? Tomorrow? Does it end?
Tonight.
Did it end?
I think
Yeah.
it ends. And
You
who
think
would
it
you
ends?
start? Who, if you
Yeah,
were coaching? I think he's going to start Stuart Skinner.
yeah.
But who
Yeah.
would you start in the elimination game?
Lord
I think
Bagg.
it goes Skinner. But my problem with Skinner is, didn't it seem like he's a little loose when they're on breakaways with him in every game? Like they kind of are able to slide it through him every time. They've kind of
My
got that
daddy
on
always
him.
said the puck had to get by 5 people before it got to you. So
Oh,
why?
fuck. Typical goalie. But yes, I think you go with Skinner.
I would start Pickard.
Really?
I thought you just said you would start Skinner.
No, I think that Knobloch will go Skinner. I'm expecting him to go Skinner, but I would start Pickard.
Okay, and here's the thing about it. We've all had this conversation. When we're having a conversation about who you're going to start in game 3, 4, or 5, the Stanley Cup playoffs, not exactly the discussion you want to have. I think the other night, and I mean, God bless Kelvin Pickard. I
That's a
can't
great
tell
thing.
you how happy I am for him. And like JJ Spawn just won the US Open men's golf yesterday, and kind of, just, they called him a journeyman. He was this and that. All he did is win the biggest prize
Get onto your butt.
on his in golf. But there
Sure,
you go.
I asked yesterday.
There it is.
But
There's the butt.
Pickard, I love him, but I think was it Reinhardt's or Bennett's goal the other night? If you get a bigger goalie in there, they love these big goalies. He just takes up a little bit more space. Maybe the second goal of that game hits him instead of goes through Pickard. I think you could go with Skinner, and it's not an enviable task. Let's put it that way. But I think Skinner is the guy they go with.
If
And
you're
then-
willing to make the change for 5, you stick with him for 6.
I thought Brian Boucher said, and I agree with him, like it's his series now. So if you're with that, then he goes with 6. Yeah. Like if you put him in, I guess you're going to ride him the rest of the way, but I don't know, flip a coin right now.
But they're a tandem and they go back and forth. Why can't you go back? Why you're basically, the way you've made those two goalies is you're saying neither of them are really number one, right?
Yeah,
At this moment?
and I don't think it matters if the other guys aren't much better. And that's McDavid. McDavid's got 1 goal in the series. Got to be better. Everybody's got to be better on that Oiler team, and I don't know whether they can.
They have to be the team
that much better now.
Florida's getting inside on them. That's where no one else has been able to do it. Florida's been able to do it.
They just, I don't know. Even the other day when Kane took off on that, like he took off, they just seem a little bit slower. Right?
Well, their problem too is they've taken far too many penalties. Maybe not so much
many.
But just stupid penalties. And I hate to say stupid, but they are. They're dumb penalties at this time of year. Like Florida, 3 years in a row, we know what we're getting out of them. And if you take the bait, they seem to be able to play whatever way you want, and they love that. Like, stop with the silly penalties. Just go play whistle to whistle. It's like these are the biggest games of you guys' lives. In Florida, if let them take the undisciplined one once in a while, because they will.
Brad Marchand, 5 goals in the final.
Yeah.
In the final. There's 1 guy under par at the U.S. Open.
Oh, I like that. But get to the but.
No, I'd expect like 10 guys to be under par at a major championship. Best players.
Hey, did you think Marchand had that much quickness left?
No. He's
dancing. Like, he looks like he's 28, not 38. Like, this guy, he's a special player, man. Like, you watch
where he goes in the offseason too.
Well, if Steven Stamkos is 8 times 4, what's Brad Marchand if they win the cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he that range? He's looking for to get paid because Boston never really paid him.
I don't blame him. So he looked good in any uniform he ended up in, but he sure fits in with those guys. So
yeah, that's a culture right there. You get there, and guys just love to stick around the golf cart community.
Mm-hmm.
Bagg, how long do you think we can talk without Sharps actually bailing?
Probably a little bit longer. He'll probably cancel one of his appointments.
What do you have going on that you've got to leave?
Well, some of us work. We just don't go set times during the year like you do. Like, right?
I'm working today.
Yeah. But I have to do my appointments when anything that needs to be done when I'm not working. So I know that seems strange to you, but what have we got for shoutouts?
Yeah, seriously. What do you have going on?
I got appointments. You got to get them done once in a while.
Like, you getting your nails done? Pedicure?
Yeah,
Get your nails
exactly.
done.
Perm.
We mock you about it, but there's nothing better than a pedicure.
Yeah, there's no way anybody's touching my feet.
Oh yeah, come on, talking a language I don't understand while you're touching my feet.
Can't do it. I can't do it.
Please mock.
A shout out, Millard. You got a shout out for anybody?
No, not really. I'll think of one.
Okay. Lord Bagg, I'll tell you what, I'll go first today. I'm going to shout out Savannah, Georgia. What a great place. Some of the best people and food I've ever had. Was there last week, seeing our daughter and her husband. So Savannah, Georgia, what a great city. So that's my shout out for this week. I would shout out some restaurants. I can't remember the names of them because there's so many. So
what, do you have like 12 meals a day?
Yeah, we and a sensible dinner.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah.
It's a lot of eating in Savannah. If you haven't been there, put it on the map.
Yeah.
What about you and Little John, Bagg?
I wasn't with John. I was with Matt Fultron this week. Jeff loves Matty.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Alan May came out to the show in
Oh,
DC,
nice.
and he brought a bunch of buddies. And Fultron was just like, "Who were those idiots?"
Were they just out of control?
Out of control. Because we met up with them afterwards, and they're just because we were watching the game, and it was just out of control. His buddies that were hanging with him talking about how he met Alan. And the guy's a doctor and goes, "I had a threesome," and it's just like Matt's like, "We're 50. We don't need to talk about this."
The doctor said that?
Yeah, the doctor said. I was just like looking at this guy. I'm like, who would use this guy as a doctor? You know, like you ever wonder where people get weird medications from? You're just looking at this. That's the dude. That's the dude right there where they get weird
Writing
medications
scripts
from.
for you?
Yeah, yeah. Just like, hey, you need one of these pads. You can get whatever you want.
So he said that he had one or he wants to have one?
He wants to have one. That's what he would like. Yeah. So they were funny. Probably gonna have to blank that out, right, Jeff? Probably have to take all that out.
Yeah,
Why?
there's a really good chance.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
we'll
have to
see.
take all that. There's
We'll
no
see.
need to
We'll see
no
again.
need to throw Alan's buddy that's a doctor under the bus.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, if you hadn't said Alan, you could have said
Yeah.
he met up with a doctor who wanted a threesome.
You know what? I should. There'd be 3 blanks right now because we've said Alan so many times. It's just like blah 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 blah. So,
Oh, good for you guys. That's awesome. Well, it's good to catch up with you.
it was good to catch up. What's your shout out?
My kids actually took me out
Love
for breakfast yesterday on Father's Day. I had the best Father's Day I've ever had. Like there was no drama, no fighting. It was awesome.
Right on.
Great.
And they actually hung out a little bit last night. And then they all both got up at the same time and went, well, going back to our rooms.
You had a good time with us, Dad? Goodbye.
They used to be my little buddies. Now they're just like hanging out.
No, just only John. So.
Yeah, only John.
John. Little John.
All right. You got anything, LB? We got to go.
I thought I already shouted out my people in DC.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got to blank that. So you might want to put another one in.
Yeah,
No,
what's your shout out?
My shout out is to Washington, D.C. for being such a fun time and taking such great care of me. Thank you for having me.
Love call.
Loved all.
Nice being with the 3 of us.
It's good to be. See you guys next year.
Bye.